Hey guys, it's Marisa, kitchentablestamper.com. Got a really fun Christmas card for you today. I'm really excited. All right, I am just getting a little head start. I've got to fussy cut this little deer for our card today. And I thought while you guys were getting in here, I'd get a little head start. I treated myself. I don't really have any plans for it. I try to purchase what I have a plan for, but I really loved the Festive post and the postage stamp punch. So I treated myself to this Festive post and just kind of played with it the other day with some brand new products that I want to show you. There is a pre-order for the Curvy Celebrations products that begins November 3rd. And so, of course, demonstrators get everything first. That's the awesome part about being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So, if you've ever considered it, can I just tell you there's lots of fun perks, like we get the Curvy Celebration stuff first. But there's a Quite Curvy bundle with the Curvy dies that's coming as a pre-order from the January-June catalog. And that will be available for pre-order November 3rd. And so I used some of those products on this card today, as well as my Festive Post stamp set that I bought just because I enjoy it. So another perk of being a demonstrator, I get a discount on all the things that I want just to have to play with. If you've ever thought about joining the Kitchenettes or joining Stampin' Up! With the Kitchenettes, you should reach out to me. You can call or text me anytime. I think my number's right on Facebook page and it's on all the bottoms of all my emails. Call or text me or email me to talk about it, okay? So let's see. All right, so let's get started. I think that we're getting in here. Okay, let me get Festive Post out of here. Fun little stamp set that we're featuring here today, along with some new products. So my Designer Series paper. Let me show you this one. This one will be available for you to order November 3rd, unless, of course, you're a demonstrator. If you're a kitchenette, kitchenettes can order this right now. And we're doing a swap with these products, too. So lots of fun reasons to keep you stamping and lots of access if you're a demonstrator. This is the Classic Christmas Designer Series paper. It is 6x6, and it's just a stack of really great general and Christmas patterns. So it's cherry cobbler, and you'll see like this grid and stripe and dot. These are all really general patterns. These would be fantastic to work into Valentine's Day. Sahara Sand is one of the other colors here. You can see more of this. I love this diamond pattern. Then Shaded Spruce is the third color in this, and so it's all monochromatic prints, some of them very general. I love this little sprig that we're using, and some of them a little bit more holiday. The little trees, of course, could go very masculine. So it's classic Christmas, but it definitely has some potential for some other applications. So there's your, I like this little sprig with the berries too. All right, so that's the new paper. This will be Classic Christmas, will be available to order November 3rd. We're gonna start with a piece of that. That is right here. It's 4 inches by 1 5/8 inches. So we got our Designer Series paper, and our card base is Sahara Sand. And it's 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. So there's our card base, our dirty card base. And we're going to emboss the front of this. So let me grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and the tin tile embossing folder. All right, so I've got my card front in the tin tile embossing folder, and I've got an older style 3D of this folder. So this one's gonna need number 1 and number 3. You might, if you've got the Stampin' Up, the version that Stampin' Up produced, you might need your, what number is it? Number 4, the embossing plate for this one. So be aware of that. If it's got a Sizzix logo, you just need a cutting plate. All right, so there's our awesome tin tile. Look at how deep that is. Isn't that gorgeous? And we're going to do a treatment on this, an embossing treatment. It's a direct-to-paper inking technique. So we're going to grab some Versamark ink and get this fantastic finish. Isn't that cool? And then let's go ahead. We're gonna need some grid paper here, and I'm gonna go with the little grid paper. We need to work with embossing powder on a large scale, so we wanna grab a little bit of the small grid paper because that'll catch all the powder. I've got white embossing powder. And then we're going to use a direct-to-paper technique with the Versamark. And what you want to do is just rub the pad across the front of the card. No pressure here, just gently rub the pad across the texture. What you want is to grab the high spots and leave the low spots without ink. My ink pad isn't even super inky. We're really trying to get kind of a rustic look here. It's gonna look kind of frosted over, and you know how that is. Like when something frosts over, it's not solid. We can go back and add more, but we can't take it off. So let's go ahead now and add some embossing powder. I like to go kind of from one side. I did kind of a little strip, laid out kind of a row of embossing powder, and then moved it around the card. I'm going to do a little bit more along the edges here. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to flick from the back. I want to remove all the excess. So now we've got kind of a frosting effect of embossing powder. We're going to have to heat this. All right, so we've got kind of a distressed coat of Whisper White ink, or Whisper White powder. Let's heat it. Okay, so I'll save that one and I'll finish it later, but you can see the difference between where the white embossing powder has changed, where it's melted and where it hasn't, and you want to complete that. But by the magic of TV, I've already got one done here. And you'll see that depending on how much ink coverage, you can get more or less frost. The second one is definitely a little heavier coverage, and that's how much Versamark. That's how heavy you press, that's how many times you brush over it. And if you look at this one's a little bit more like our original with more of a distressed finish. So depending on how heavy your hand is with the ink will determine how heavy this frosted embossing. Isn't that so much fun? Now let's go ahead and adhere our designer series paper to the bottom. Here I found that I really like the multi-purpose liquid glue. So we're gonna glue that on because you're gluing to now kind of a slick surface. There we go. Got a cooperative multi-purpose liquid glue. And I'm gonna be generous, but careful that I don't squish it out the ends. This one works, this one does not. We'll put that guy aside for attention later. We're gonna go about 1/2 inch from the bottom and centered right to left. And then we want to take a minute here and burnish this down so that that multi-purpose liquid glue can make contact with all of the raised surfaces. And this is an important step. Just burnish that down. And that's so much fun. Look at that. All right, so you can see the difference right away here. This one I was a little heavier handed with ink. This one a little bit more distressed. Which one do you like? Do you like the more solid white frost, or do you like the little bit more distressed white frost? All right, now let's go ahead and grab our Stampin' Pierce mat. We'll do some stamping. I'm gonna use my Festive Post stamp set. I've got little candy cane background, that awesome deer, got cherry cobbler, and soft suede ink. And let's get some white Whisper White scraps. All right, so I'm gonna take my cherry cobbler ink and the candy cane stripe from Festive Post. In case you're joining us late, here, this is Festive Post. Love this stamp set. I'm We're going to ink up Cherry Cobbler stripes, and right in the center there on Whisper White. I love this background. And then the little deer, we're gonna do him in soft suede. And then by the magic of television, we're gonna fussy cut our deer. Just use your paper snips and cut him out. I did that ahead of time. And for our Cherry Cobbler stripes, we've got our postage stamp punch. We're going to just line that up. Oh, I stamped just a little bit too high. We want a nice even postage border around our Cherry Cobbler stripes. So I think that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit this way. And there's our postage stamp. Do you see that fun edge? Love this stamp. All right, I had to do it. I had to bump up my deer. I really wanted him to be like the focal image. So we're gonna add him with some Stampin' Dimensionals in just a minute. The last thing that I wanna stamp, I'm using Merry Christmas. No, I did enjoy this season. A little greeting from Festive Post, Versamark ink. And let's grab a little scrap of basic black. Got a piece here that's maybe 1/2 inch. And it's just a scrap. We're gonna do Enjoy This Season with Versamark. And then my white embossing powder. Just gonna bring that into the powder. And flick off the excess embossing powder. I love the embossing powder in the little tub like that. And let's slide this guy out of the way so I don't melt it. I'm gonna heat set my sentiment. I love white sentiment on black cardstock. Let's clear away the ink pads. All right, so we're gonna cut off our greeting. And now I did a little bit of die cutting ahead of time. I wanna show you the new, where did I put it? I'm gonna show you the new Curvy dies. These are the Curvy dies. They're part of this pre-order from the January-June, and it's this fun set of edge dies that coordinates with the brand new Quite Curvy stamp set. I got a card for this coming, our video tutorial coming for a card featuring both the Quite Curvy with the Curvy dies and the Curvy Christmas with the Curvy dies. So this is Curvy Christmas, and this will all be available to order November 3rd. If you're a demonstrator, we're currently in the demonstrator pre-order period for these products. I'm going to use this little sprig here that's from the Quite Curvy dies, and I'm going to cut a few shaded spruce sprigs, and then I'm going to use the stars dies. This is my new obsession. This one doesn't belong to me. I borrowed this stitched stars from Jackie Anderson. Jackie, thank you for loaning it to me, but now I'm going to have to buy it. You are an enabler. We're going to use the smallest, second smallest, and we're going to use, what is this one? The third largest stitched stars for this project. So let me grab my Stampin' Cotton Emboss machine, and we'll do a little bit of die cutting. I did some of the die cutting ahead of time, so we don't have to do too many passes, but let me do a couple of stars and a sprig for you. This is my new leaf punch right now. I'm loving this little sprig and the stars. I think everything I've made for the last, I don't know, since I got the Curvy suite has had this sprig on it. And I think everything I've made since I borrowed Jackie's star dies has had stars on it. I have a problem. All right, so we're gonna cut a couple of the sprigs. I'm gonna cut 3 total. I've already got 2 for you. And then I'm gonna cut 5 stars. I'm gonna cut one of this third largest. And then I'm gonna cut 2 each of the smallest and the second smallest. So let's go ahead and give that a crank. I just had the lid Oh, look at where the lid is. It was underneath the thin die adapter. All right. Here we go. Give it a crank. All right, so look at how cool these dies are. They stitch the star and they stitch the negative space. So even this piece with the windows is perfect for a card. Isn't that cool? I love the two-sided stitching. All right, so there's a couple stars and a sprigs. Let me get a few more stars over here. All right, bring my sample back in. Now we just got assembling to do. I'm going to use some black dimensionals under my sentiments. And I'm going to use some white mini dimensionals under my deer. Stars are like a basic necessity. Yeah, they are. I don't know why I held out for so long. All right, so I'm using mini Stampin' dimensionals because I love this wide edge right here, and I just cut a strip off. This is going to help us bump up like little deer legs and antlers and things. So I'll cut that strip into smaller pieces and just put it along my deer here. It's just such a pretty deer. I don't think I'd make this card as a mass-produced card, that's for sure. This is a special one for somebody special because of the fussy cutting. But I do love the way he's so pretty. He's kind of elegant, and when you fussy cut him, you really do put a extra special focus on him. You know what I mean? All right, so there's that little strip. We just cut it up for all the little narrow spots. If it was a die, we could use the foam and just die cut the whole thing sticky, but we fussy cut, so we're back to the dark ages of using tiny bits of dimensionals. I love the dimensional sheets when you're die cutting something. All right, there is my little deer postage stamp. Let me grab some black dimensionals here and we'll get it on the back of the sentiment. Use a couple halves. I love the choices, the two different kinds of adhesive, the black and the white dimensionals. All right, multi-purpose liquid glue. I need the one that was working, not the one that isn't. Let's get all right, first I want to take my little sprigs. I'm going to add some multi-purpose liquid glue to the bottom of the sprigs and adhere them to the back of my postage stamp. So I want them to kind of spring out, 2 from the top and 1 from the bottom corner. I love that this brings that festive little bit of greenery to the card. And then 1 more on the bottom corner. There, I like that. Next up, I've got my biggest star. And we're going to add multi-purpose liquid glue on the back of that. And have it just touching the designer series paper. And like we did with the designer series paper, we want to burnish that down. Careful not to squish the glue out from under the star, but we want it to grab to that embossed surface. The sprigs, Janet asked about the sprigs. The sprigs are from the new Curvy dies. Those are coming November 3rd in the pre-order. And we need some multi-purpose liquid glue, little dots on our sprigs and on the back of our stamp. Add that little guy in over the star. This was really kind of a challenge for me to do this like sneeze of stars and pearls, and it really was kind of outside of my usual style, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Enjoy the season. We'll cover the edge of the designer series paper and go over the star. Oh, I forgot my little bow. I was going to show you. I've got some gold twine here. I'm gonna tie a bow. Now there's the I think it's the Forever Greenery trim pack, has some gold twine in it. This is the gold twine from the Tag Buffet kit. I made the Tag Buffet into cards to send to my customers and team. I've been working on my Christmas card stash to send out. So this is the leftover twine from that. And I can just lift and tuck this under. It shouldn't have grabbed I didn't burnish too hard. It shouldn't have grabbed too hard. I'm going to tuck that right underneath. So we've got a little bit of gold fiber. We've got the gold stars. I'm going to add my gold stars now, the medium ones. Multi-purpose liquid glue. You can use it like a mini glue dot here would probably work. And we're gluing to that embossing powder, so be generous with your glue. And then a little tiny one. And what I did, the secret here for me to get this kind of sneeze but have it still look somewhat balanced is to work threes. So 1, 2, 3 makes a triangle. And now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go down from the deer this time. So we've got our medium one. We can put that guy kind of on the edge of the designer series paper. And so we've got 1, 2, we need a little triangle. So we'll add a star here. So just if you find this kind of card difficult, if you think in threes, 1, 3, or 5, so always an odd number, and then work on triangle placement. So we've got 3 stars, total of 5 stars though for our overall design. We've got 1 bit of ribbon, so just 3 sprigs, and again that triangle placement. Those are the things that seem to work for me when I'm doing this kind of a style. Now I've got pearls. These are the metallic pearls. I love these embellishments. You've seen me feature them like with the sunflowers and things. You get 242 embellishments. Half of them are gold, half of them are silver. We're going to use the gold pearls. And we're going to do, again, threes. So we're going to do a little triangle of 3s up at the top and a triangle of 3 down at the bottom. It'll be 6 total, which always causes me to pause, but it works because they're so separated. So we got 3 little gold baubles this way, making a triangle. And then we'll do 3 little gold baubles down here, making a triangle. That's it. What do you guys think? Very different from my usual style, isn't it? I hope that you enjoyed getting out of the box with me, trying out some brand new products. You can get your hands on these products in your starter kit. So if you want to join Stampin' Up, reach out. We can get you set up. You can pick up the Curvy products as part of your $99 starter kit. Or if you're a customer, November 3rd, you can pick up these Curvy products. Let me bring those guys back in for a minute. So here's the classic Christmas designer series paper. And here's the Curvy dies, the Curvy Christmas stamp set. This will be a limited time stamp set. The Curvy dies and the Quite Curvy stamp set are a pre-order from the January-June mini catalog. So I'll give you a sneak peek at what's to come in the new catalog. So that's it. What do you guys think? I was really kind of outside of my usual style, kind of my comfort zone there. I hope that you enjoyed it. I really loved making it. It was a fun adventure and creativity for me. Let's see. If you guys have any questions about the technique or the product or the pre-order or joining Stampin' Up, anything I can do to help you stay crafty, email marisa@kitchentablestamper.com, or to shop 24/7, you can buzz over to marisa.alvarez.stampinup.net. All right, you guys, I will catch you, let's see here, Thursday we're playing Taboo again in the Kitchen Table Stamper Craft Social, so join us for a game of Taboo, and I will see you next Friday live, and take a look next week at the blog for another project featuring the new Curvy bundle, the Quite Curvy bundle. I got a really cool card tutorial coming for you next week on the blog. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.